Good afternoon, Service Masters. It is 4 p.m. here in Florida, so we are going to jump into our first edition of Mastering Service. And I'm going to start with a brief explanation of what Mastering Service is. Well, Mastering Service was created specifically for our service associates. Each call will consist of quick training on a given topic, and then the calls will open for collaborating, sharing tips, advice, and stories from our service team. These calls are going to be focused on idea sharing, success stories, and overcoming challenges that we may face while providing service to our customers. But before I begin the session, there's a few questions that I would like to answer for you. When are these calls going to be? Mastering Service calls will be the fourth Thursday of every month. What will the calls be about? It could be on any given topic like customer service, problem solvers, how you handle a difficult customer. We're going to share tips and some ideas. But how do we choose this topic? You choose. We are going to send a survey 2 weeks before the date, and you can vote and pick your topic. Are there prizes? Each and every call will have a Visa gift card prize of $25. Now, the first call today is a double prize of $50. The prizes are going to be awarded based on participation. And as always, if you have any topics or ideas that you would like us to cover on training, you can always send an email to training@imtresidential.com. All right. So on our first month, we have 49% of the votes to this topic of turning resident problems into resident solutions. Every person in multifamily knows that you can always please everyone. No matter how much effort you and your team puts into boosting the resident experience and delivering 6-star service, you're still going to receive resident complaints from time to time. But don't worry, that is natural. You may not be able to prevent every problem from arising, but you can control how you and your team handles those problems with patience, empathy, grace, and thoughtful solutions. You can effectively address and resolve your residents' problems. And sometimes the way we address our residents' problems can make a bigger difference even than the solution itself. And if you have been in a customer training with any of us, you know that we generally run things a little different in these calls. We tend to take the more higher level of an educational approach or inspirational approach rather than a scenario tips based approach. Well, this time I like to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to give you a timeline of tips and techniques that you can take back to your community to start solving problems right away. And if you got off this call today and you immediately get an upset resident, you're going to know what to do first and what to do last. But I hope that's not the case for you. All right, now let me tell you how you can collaborate and share during these calls. First, you can send your feedback over to us via email. Before the call, we did receive quite a few from some of our service managers and service associates. And we are going to select the, I'm sorry, you can send your feedback over to me via email before the call after we have selected the winning topic, and you will get to go first. Or you can chat over during the call, I'd like to share, or something along those lines. If you have a story or a tip that you would like to share out loud, and you will get called next. And finally, you can just share your feedback via the chat, and we will read as many as we can after the call. So you can see that we are going to have a lot of opportunities to collaborate and share your ideas with the team. And of course, lots of opportunities to win that gift cards and a feature on Inspired. Remember that what you're sharing today can be anything relating to resolving resident problems. Maybe it's an approach that you take, a creative solution that you deliver before, or even just a story about how an approach has helped you resolve a problem for a resident. All right, as we get started with exploring resident problems today, I want you to always remember that there is a difference between problem residents and resident problems. In our job, it's important that we know the difference and that we are able to respond accordingly. Apartment community management as a whole is one of the most people-intensive jobs in the marketplace. The personal nature of the service, we're providing customers with a place to call home, and that can lead to some very strong opinions and expectations that may not necessarily always be met. Now, recently, I attended a webinar hosted by Rick Ellis, and one of the things that he said really stuck with me. He said that in his experience, there really are very few residents that comes to us as problem residents, but that they later become problem residents that we have created. He labeled problem residents into 3 categories and said that if they are not one of this, they aren't a problem resident. They are just a resident with a problem. So first, we have those who are delinquent on the rent, those who cause damage to the property, and those who cause problems for other residents. He said, when we don't address complaints properly, when we don't solve resident problems, that's when we create new problem residents. That in turn create more problems for us. Now, as IMT members, we know that we are striving to deliver 6-star service every day, even for residents who may seem difficult to us. I read a book a while back and saved this quote for use at a later time, and I think it's fitting right here. And it says, customer service is the experience that we deliver to our customers. It's the promise we keep to the customer. It's how we follow through for the customer. It's how we make them feel when we do business, when they do business with us. Now, I'm not going to recommend this book. It wasn't that good, but I did love this phrase. This is important here. It's important that when a resident comes to us with a problem, that we remember our promises. People who pay this kind of rent that we charge today nationwide in this country expect a lot of service. They expect that service because it's what we promised them when they lease an apartment. So like Chef says in this book, it's the promise that we keep. We promise to have great service. We promise them a hassle-free residency, a lifestyle where you can come home, close your door, and be at peace in your own little oasis tailored chosen for them. And when those promises aren't met, it is reasonable for someone to get upset. Now, problems may include slow or incomplete service requests, conflict with the on-site team, convenience problems like parking, noisy or misbehaving neighbors, and even crime. We should always remember that we are focused on problems our resident has and resolving them, not on whether or not we agree that this is a problem in our eyes. If the resident perceives there is an issue, then there is a problem. So how do we resolve these problems? How do we keep our promises and create 6-star service experience for our residents? Let's talk about that now. If you have attended the conflict resolution training, you already know this, but it's so important. So we're leading with it again. Oftentimes, in a conflict scenario where a resident comes to us with a problem, we immediately jump into how we're going to deliver a solution. If that's you, I love that proactive effort, but I'm going to teach you something that will change your conflict resolution life today. First, stop, slow down, and focus on your residents' emotions. First, going straight into a problem-solving mode without allowing your customer to truly feel heard and understood, first, that can actually be a very ineffective route to take. So the next resident problem you receive, I want you to focus on their emotions first. If you're jumping into solutions, your customer isn't going to truly hear you. People can only hear you once they feel that they've been heard. So take a moment, practice your empathy, and follow these steps and tips. Actively listen. Try to relate back to your resident. Don't take it personally. And leave the judgment at the door. So now we're going to explore a little more. If your resident has come in with a problem and they're upset, your absolute number one to take is to listen. Give them the floor and let them speak without interrupting or thinking of what to say next. Now, Stephen Covey says that it is important to listen with the intent to learn, not the intent to reply. That is so important here. When you chime in, you interject or interrupt, you create an argumentative situation that will only make them want to talk even more. So let them get out of their system, and eventually they're going to run out of things to say. And there will be a time for a response. Now, personally, on top of actively listening, I think your body language plays a huge role in listening. The way we listen is just as important as listening itself. With your body language, you are conveying how important you feel the issue is, how bored you are, how you don't want to have to deal with this right now, and a slew of other negative connotations. So you have to be aware of what type of message you are sending. Even the small verbal cues like can be said in a positive way that indicates that you want to hear more, or a negative way that indicates, please shut up, like As you listen, see this moment as an opportunity. An angry resident can turn into a loyal ambassador for your community. So see this as your challenge to make the issue right. Having the right attitude will come through in your body language and verbal cues. And you might need to train this in the mirror, as it's very difficult to keep the right expression when someone is upset at us for something that you don't agree with. Also, make efforts to relate to their frustration. Apologize when it's necessary. Sometimes people think that by apologizing, they are automatically admitting fault or agreeing to certain resolution, but that's actually not the case. It is more than okay to say, I'm sorry that you are going through this right now. Or you can say, wow, I can't imagine how frustrating this must be for you. To be honest, I would be upset too. I'm here to help you through this right now. This harmless phrase can go a long way towards creating a more productive interaction with that customer. And always remember not to take it personally. I know this is easy. It is very easy to get flustered when someone is yelling at you. Just remember that you're not the issue. The problem is. Problem resolution is our job. Dealing with angry customers is our job. But they can attack you personally because they don't know you personally. Once you allow yourself to take it personally, that's when we end up getting inappropriate with the customer. There really is no place in our line of work where we should be getting into an argument with the customers. We are professional. And as a little tip, when I feel, for example, the warmth reaching up to my cheeks, and I know it's starting to affect me, I pretend there are people watching me. Important people like a grandma or Scott Burns or John T. That generally helps me to remain my true professional self. And in all likelihood, that angry resident has some other battles going on that we know nothing about. And that broken garbage disposal just happened to be an added catalyst to their anger. Empathy is so important here for not taking personally. And always remember, just judgment-free as you are listening. As we are listening to complaints, we have a tendency for our minds to automatically become dismissive, either because we don't see it as a big issue or we don't have all of the information. Either way, it does nothing for showing empathy and engaging with your customers' emotions. So as you're listening, don't focus on whether it's really a problem or not. Focus on their emotions and what the issue is for them at the moment. All right, now once you have ensured your customers feels heard and you understand that what they're feeling about the problem, now is when you are going to address what are you going to do about it. If you haven't addressed the emotions behind the problems first, don't jump into the logical part of problem solving. Listen first and act later. Once you get to this point, there are a few steps and tips in mind that will be helpful in resolving the issue. First, ask clarifying questions to ensure that you understand the problem correctly. If you can say something like, just so I understand, you're having an issue with your garbage disposal. You told us about it last week, but it still wasn't fixed. Is that right? Again, body language is key here. Raising your brows shows a disarming view. For someone who wants quick action, this is an important step that we may annoy them. I might partially raise my hands as if to say, give me a second to completely understand. Then I'll work to fix the problem. Then this is where I'm getting into the action of solving the problem. It is very obvious to a customer when someone has heard their problem and done everything in their power to resolve it for them, and those who left a sticky note on their manager's desk about the problem, and then they forgot about it. A really helpful step here is just to ask the resident, I truly want to help you make you leave happy today. What would be your ideal resolution here? Just asking shows that you care about their feelings and wants. Sometimes you may find that just showing the resident that they've been heard and that you care about resolution for them is enough to solve the problem. Sometimes they may ask for something unreasonable. By asking this allows you to walk it back with them with something like, I do wish I could do that for you. It's not going to be possible today, but here's what I can do for you. Either way, you've done your job of showing that if this is a problem for your resident, it's a problem for you. And you are going to work to fix it for them in any way that you can. When you are delivering a solution, stay positive, professional, and upbeat. This should be a positive moment where you are taking the problem, put it in on your own shoulders, and will solve it. If you need to chat with your manager first, let that resident know. You can say something like, let me find out what I can do for you here. Can I call you after 2 p.m. once I understand the issue more and we have a solution for you? Now, as a side thought here to keep in mind, part of showing action involves being proactive to ensure these issues don't appear in the first place. Now, the issue isn't that the resident receive a certain kind of maintenance service. The issue is false promises regarding, for example, service requests. At the end of the day, it is important to remember that even though it's a place where people live, it's still a business. Running a business, of course, comes down to increasing value. And correcting an angry resident for a problem that we cause, interrupting them, or getting offended because they're upset, is never a way to run a business or increase your community values. So remember to always maintain that 6-star service, do what you promise, and keep a level head to help solve residents' problems, not create problem residents. And finally, and so important, make sure that you follow up. First of all, you want to make sure that the resident knows the solution and make sure that it truly did resolve the situation. Plus, it creates a mental affirmation in their mind that you were the solution to their problem and opens the line for even better communication down the road. Even if the solution can happen immediately due to order parts, for example, keeping your customer in the loop will save you a lot of heartache. So, for example, you need to order parts, make sure that you let the resident know when those parts will be received. Because if you don't let them know, they're still gonna be asking, why is my garbage disposal still not working? You said you were going to fix it. I'm telling everybody to leave a negative review. Or what happened if there is no solution? Sometimes residents get upset about something that cannot be fixed, or it's just not within the scope of what we do. Now, generally, when it comes to a situation like this, a manager or a regional is typically involved. And this is time to resolve the situation without giving them exactly what they are asking. Now, in this case, don't say we can do that or that's not going to happen. That's neither helpful nor empathetic. Instead, brainstorm a few alternate options that could possibly work or meet in the middle ground. And also consider their issue might be a wake-up call to improve your service. For example, if their car keeps getting broken into, maybe it means that your community manager and regional managers need to start the conversation of reassessing your community access. In the end, resolving resident problems is your biggest opportunity to create not just happy residents, but loyal ambassadors of your community. So think about the resolution experiences that made you want to go and tell your friends about it. Why? Probably because there was something different that this person did. They approach your problem from a new angle and they help you solve it. All right, you guys, with that, we have now reached that point where it's time to share. So we would love to hear from you what your tips, advice, or stories are about resolving resident problems. So feel free to share your ideas now, or you can share say something in the chat that say, I'd like to share if you prefer to share verbally, or again, you can chat just your ideas. But first, I have a few lovely service masters that shared their feedback ahead of time. So I'm going to show you some of those right now. I'm going to go ahead and read those. All right, so we have one from Jeff Bale, Senior Service Manager at IMT Cool Springs. And Jeff says, mastering service and turning resident problems into resident solutions starts the moment, no, I'm sorry, I went too far. Jeff Bell, Senior Service Manager at IMT Cool Spring. Active listening always goes the farthest. The majority of the time, the resident is not upset because of their issue was not handled at all. It either was not given the proper urgency, care, or communication. 90% of the time, they just want to be heard. The other 10%, it's about how we are going to solve their problem by listening. We also have something from Gary Zamora at IMT Highland Hills. And Gary says, mastering service and turning resident problems into resident solutions starts the moment you knock at the resident's doors. First, I announce myself to give the resident time to get ready to let me in. Next, I explain my reason for the visit using a polite and friendly tone to avoid any misunderstandings. An empathetic, reassuring voice shows that you care, which puts residents at ease and helps establish long-lasting relationships with our customers. The key is to master our service from the beginning to the end of every service request that we get. Santos Perez at Bella Serra at Forest Hills says, this is what I practice when problems arise. First, I am attentive to the residents' concerns. I speak clearly and I let the resident know that I have their best interest in resolving their problem. I follow up with the resident to ensure they are satisfied with the resolution and ask if there is anything else that we can do to make them comfortable. And lastly, I thank them for helping, pointing out, or commenting on how to improve our service. And Louis Kanda, service manager at IMT Lake House, says that he pays close attention to his body language, avoid escalating the situation, do not take the situation personally, take action and do what you say you are going to do, and have a good attitude. I love all those. Now, Anthony Galban at Bella Serra at Forest Hills says, this is a summary of the most important things I personally do when I face difficult situations, and it always works for me. Of course, everything is accompanied by a good attitude, empathy, and a smile. First, I take a deep breath and I try to stay calm. This is the best way to prevent the situation from escalating. I keep the conversation professional, friendly, and respectful. Speaking in a calm tone is useful to de-escalate tense conversation with angry customers. Active listening helps me understand the importance of the residents' words so I can make the situation better for them, and it also allows me to provide a more accurate answer. Taking time to understand the residents' needs helps me resolve their issues quickly. The positive relationship and trust earned helps, and no matter what, it will not be ruined by unkept promises. I love that you mentioned that promise. Now, Brad Pitt, Senior Service Manager at IMT Germantown, says, anyone can enter an apartment and fix things, but how can we create a memorable experience for our customers when things turn into a problem? One way is to engage residents about their pets, especially if they are not home. I like to compliment their pet's behavior or assist them with work orders on the 10 card. Pets are soft spot for their owners, and if they receive positive remarks regarding them, it leaves them feel them proud and visible to the team. Another way to exceed resident expectation is by discreetly looking around for issues or asking if there are any other things that need to be addressed or if there is anything that you can do to improve their experience. There is often several times items that they don't want to bother maintenance with and they leave unreported. Asking if these things are needing attention displays eagerness to please and the desire to go above and beyond without being intrusive. This makes them feel important and value knowing that you really want to make sure that all issues are handled for them. Both of these items are not technical and do not require a great deal of effort to do, and they leave huge lasting impressions on our residents and highlights all other aspects of the service they are receiving. Mastering service is not just about the technical ability. It's just as much about providing exceptional customer service too. All right, and then Randy at IMT Stonely says, I usually start with apologizing for any inconvenience or misunderstanding that they may have happened. I always let them explain fully to me what's going on. I listen to keywords that the resident uses to understand what they're trying to say. I address every issue and additional issues that they may have missed. Sometimes I point out things that the resident didn't see, but honestly, it helped me build trust. The issue might still take several days, but building trust and confidence in a final result tends to calm the resident down. No matter how upset the resident is, don't make promises that you can keep. Be honest, let them know if you need approval, and assure them that you are trying to resolve the problem just as much as they want you to. Remember, we are servicing humans in their homes. They will get upset, but be the bigger person and be polite. And Dee Thompson, a Senior Service Manager at IMT Alpharetta. Very short and sweet. Dee says, mindset is everything. And this is a successful tool and the attitude that we need to overcome pretty much every situation that we come across. Notice the word situation instead of problem or issues. Again, mindset is everything. All right, and we also have, as an add-on bonus, a tip from a community manager, Stephanie Reagan at IMT Maitland Point. How to handle upset residents. Listen, stop talking and listen. It goes a long way. Although it can be challenging dealing with upset residents, you must face the situation head on. If you choose to delegate this task to another team member or ignore it, the situation will likely develop into a negative review or a tell us call. Know what issues you can resolve internally and when to get your regional or risk management involved. Even if you do not agree, do your best to put yourself in their shoes and really listen to what they are saying. You can say things like, I understand, or I would be frustrated too. Once the resolution is finalized, send a recap email detailing their issues and how it was resolved. Set a reminder email 1 week out and call or email to check in with them. Take a proactive and positive approach when dealing with upset residents and make sure that you do what you say you are going to do. Follow-up is crucial. Wow, that's a lot of feedback and great feedback, and I have a lot of chats here. So let's see what else do we have that I can read. I love all this participation. Cecil said, we stand by our promises. That is true. Juan at IMT Maitland says, seek and promote customer feedback and set and communicate clear service standards. That is so true. Kristen says, a smile, friendly tone, active listening, and remember it's not personal, goes a long way towards resolving problems. Okay, let's see. Perfect. Great. And John at IMT Lowry says, residents love it when I have some treats on my work card for their pets. That's what 6-star service is all about. Okay. And then Abella Sarah, someone said, my cat, that is so true. My cat, it is our fur baby. His opinion of others matters. Awesome. And George says, be attentive and listen to residents' concerns and needs. Okay. Great job. All right. Does anyone would like, okay, we have one more from Trey, got California in the house. I try and remember residents' name. So when I see them around the property, I can talk to them and build a friendship before they even have an issue in their unit. It really makes work orders go much more smoothly. That is true, because when you have build rapport, when things fall through the cracks, it happens. We are not perfect. They tend to be a little bit more understanding once we have built that positive relationship with them. That is great tip, Trey. I love it. All right. It looks like we are 6 minutes over this training. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in training today. Again, we are going to be doing this once a month. In a couple of weeks, I will be sending the survey so you can vote. And we are going to pick a winner. It's going to be really hard this time. We have a lot of positive tips and feedback. So everybody will get that announcement. And remember, every 4 weeks, we are going to be doing this. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, your evening, and I will see you next time in training.